6:27 a.m. Verdun sector, eastern France. A dense fog hangs low under a sky of gray clouds. The temperature a chilly 8 degrees Celsius. The first light of dawn creeps across the Meuse Valley. Tendrils of fog swirling just above the shattered remains of the tree-line. Ground crews move like ghostly figures among the canvas-winged aircraft that sit lined up along the muddy field. Oil lamps flicker weakly against the somber morning. The engine of a Newport 17 sputters, coughs, and then bursts into a roaring life. Its 110 horsepower Leron rotary engine shaking the delicate frame of the plane. The pilot, Lieutenant Armand Delacroix, a young man of 23 who's had little sleep, pulls his gloves tighter and makes a final check at a single Lewis gun fixed atop the upper wing. 47 rounds per pan, with 2 spare pans secured beside the cockpit. Below the trenches, some 5 meters deep and saturated from the previous night's rain, still echo with the relentless thunder of artillery. French guns fire at a rate of 20 rounds per minute, answered by German batteries with 15. Each explosion sends a powerful punch upward, its tremor shaking the very ground of the airfield. A mechanic approaches Armand, handing him a small envelope, a letter from his sister. He doesn't open it, not before the sortie. At 6:33, a signal flare arcs brilliantly over the field. White, the signal to take off. Armand pushes the throttle forward. The Newport leaps ahead on its wooden wheels, quickly swallowed by the thick mist as he climbs. By 800 meters altitude, the fog begins to thin and the sun glints off the metal cowl. Ahead, the trenches spread like jagged, zigzag scars stretching for kilometers. He levels out at 1,200 meters, scanning the horizon for the enemy aircraft that prompted his squadron scramble. Reports a German reconnaissance plane escorted by fighters. To the north, he spots them, a tiny speck like a fly against the pale sky. A 2-seater Albatros C-type, armed with a Parabellum MG-14 in the rear. Range and machine gun. Around 600 meters, though its effective range is closer to 200. The escort flies slightly above and behind, a sleek Albatros D. 2, bristling with twin Spandau guns firing 92 millimeters rounds at a combined rate of 800 to 900 rounds per minute. Armand's heartbeat slows, replaced by a cold, focused calm as training takes over. He pushes upward, gaining altitude, always attack from above. By 6:41, he reaches 1,800 meters. The sky opens and the wind cuts sharply across the wings. The German planes glide steadily, seemingly unaware of the danger lurking above. Then Armand detects movement, a flash of silver far to the east. Another patrol? Or another hunter entering the fray. The air war is still young, but tactics evolve with each passing month. Some pilots survive only weeks, while others, like the legendary Max Immelmann, rewrite the rules of engagement with maneuvers that are still debated to this day. Armand is not a legend. Not yet, but he has learned a crucial lesson from every survivor. Control the approach. He dips the nose slightly, increasing speed. His Newport vibrates as the wind presses against its frail frame of wood and linen. His target, the escort. The reconnaissance craft is merely bait. The fighter is the real threat. At 6:43, he is 300 meters above the Albatros D. 2. He breathes out, steadying himself. He dives. Wind howls as gravity pulls the aircraft downwards. The distance closes rapidly. 250 meters. 200. 150. He squeezes the trigger. The Lewis gun rattles, spitting a burst of 7 millimeters rounds. The recoil shakes the plane. The German pilot jerks the stick, rolling sharply to the left. Tracers stitch the air, some scraping the Newport's wing surface, tearing thin lines through canvas. Armand pulls up sharply, narrowly avoiding the onslaught. Black streaks of flak explode below. Ground gunners reacting too late. Shrapnel whistles upward. One piece grazes the lower wing with a dull thud. He circles for another pass. The Albatros D. 2 climbs suddenly, its powerful Mercedes D. 3 engine providing impressive upward thrust. Its twin guns flash. Bullets crack past Armand's cockpit. The fight descends into chaos. Armand rolls right, dropping speed. The German overshoots, climbing too fast. Armand slips underneath, pointing upward. But then, disaster strikes. The Lewis gun jams. The bolt sticks halfway. He curses. The German swings around, guns blazing. Armand ducks, yanking the aircraft into a dive. The Nieuport shudders, but obeys. He is now only 300 meters above the trenches. Bullets from the Albatros slice the air, some kicking up mud from the lines below. Soldiers cheer, duck for cover, or simply stare upward at the aerial duel. Armand rips the jam magazine free. It clatters uselessly around the cockpit. He slams a new pan in place, spins a bolt. The Lewis gun clicks back to life. The German sees him realigning and dives aggressively, firing nonstop. Muzzle flashes spark like angry fireflies along the Spandau barrels. Their combined rate of fire turned the air into a deadly mesh of metal. Armand twists left, trying to evade. The German stays relentlessly on his tail. He needs altitude, needs space to maneuver. But then, another shadow appears overhead. A second Nieuport. Sergeant Renard, his squad mate, dives at the German fighter without hesitation. His gunfire tears across the Albatros tail. The German breaks pursuit and climbs, attempting to escape. Armand seizes the opportunity. He climbs too, engine screaming, closing the distance from below. At 6:49, both French pilots trap the German in a deadly pincer. The Albatros zigzags desperately, but the Nieuports are lighter, more agile. Armand squeezes the trigger again, and this time, the burst lands true. Splinters fly from the German fuselage. The engine sputters, coughing black smoke. The fight is nearly over. But the reconnaissance plane, abandoned earlier, now circles back, its rear gunner opening fire. A rain of bullets descends. A sudden, stinging pain. Armand is hit in the shoulder. Not deep, but sharp enough to numb his left arm. Blood stains his coat. He bites down, holds a stick with his right hand alone, and pushes the attack. Renard goes after the gunner. Armand stays locked onto the crippled Albatros fighter, which tries to dive away. He stays just above and behind, the deadliest position. His final burst punches through the engine. Flame erupts. The German pilot bails out. Parachutes are uncommon, but some are testing early, experimental models. The chute blooms open. The burning Albatros falls from the sky like a flaming torch. Armand pulls up, breathing hard. Fog closes in again, shrouding the scene. The sky is suddenly quiet. The reconnaissance aircraft flees eastward, Renard in hot pursuit. Armand does not follow. His shoulder throbs. He reaches inside his coat with his free hand and pulls out the letter from his sister. Only now, after the fight, does he open it. The words blur from the smoke in his eyes. Come home when you can. Mama believes the war will end soon. I tell her our sky is still dangerous. He folds the letter, presses it against his chest, and banks west toward home. The first high-stakes encounter of the day ends. But over the horizon, more fighters climb into the sky. The era of air combat is only beginning. And legendary names, Bolk, Immelmann, Guynemer, Richthofen, are rewriting every rule of warfare above the trenches. 1412, north of the Somme line, near Pozieres. Wind 20 km per hour. Scatter clouds at 2,000 meters. The afternoon wind whips across the plateau as new patrols take off in the improvised airfields behind the Allied lines. The Somme battlefield stretches out below like a colossal scar, a landscape of overlapping shell craters and trenches collapsed under weeks of relentless bombardment. British artillery continues its slow, methodical drum fire at roughly 30 shells per minute, answered by German batteries firing about 20 shells per minute. Smoke rises in thick, lingering curtains over the desolate moorland. At 1412, Captain Frederick Hale of the Royal Flying Corps pulls his Sopwith pup into a clean, graceful climb. The light, nimble aircraft responds instantly to his touch. Its single, 303-inch Vickers machine gun, synchronized a fire through propeller, sits ready with a 500-round belt. Below him, mechanics wave and retreat as another pup follows, piloted by Lieutenant Mason. The patrol heads east, climbing slowly toward 2,500 meters. Their mission: intercept enemy scouts reported circling above Pozières. Signals from ground observers indicate at least 2 German fighters, possibly Albatros D. 3 models armed with twin Spandau 7, 92mm guns. Each gun fires roughly 400 to 450 rounds per minute, making them brutally lethal in frontal passes. The pup's rotary engine spins, sending the aircraft into a steady, reassuring hum. Hale checks his instruments. Altimeter steady, oil pressure normal. The sky ahead is turning a pale white as clouds drift lazily over the shattered ground. Then he sees them. 2 specks at 2 o'clock, perhaps 600 meters higher. The silhouettes, straight wings, square tails, confirm their identity. German fighters. Descending in a wide, predatory arc, Hale makes a hand sign. Mason shifts position accordingly. The Germans commit first, diving sharply. A classic tactic straight out of Bolk's playbook. Attack from above, strike fast, and never relinquish the advantage. Hale holds his line. Turning too early would mean losing precious energy. He waits until the last possible second. The first Albatros screams pass, guns blazing. Tracers streak through the air like angry red lines. The pup shudders violently as bullets tear through the canvas skin of the right wing. A strut creaks ominously. Hale pulls up, braking hard to the left. Mason dives underneath him, opening fire at the second Albatros with short, controlled bursts. The German swings away and climbs again. They regroup quickly, impressively disciplined. Hale levels out and assesses the damage. The right wing is torn, but thankfully still stable. He climbs again, slowly but steadily. The Albatros pair circles above, patiently seeking a favorable position. They climb faster. Their inline engines provide superior vertical performance. Hale knows he cannot outclimb them. He must exploit the pup's strengths, its tight turning radius and rapid roll rate. He banks hard left, almost feeling the pup pivot around him. Mason follows suit. The Germans commit again. The second dive is even more brutal. A sudden whistle. The unnerving sound of air shearing just before impact. Hale jerks the stick as rounds slam into the aircraft near the cockpit, which splinters fly. A small fragment slices his cheek. Blood trickles down his collar. He wipes it away with his sleeve, his eyes locked on the nearest Albatros. He rolls right, then dives. Gravity takes hold, pulling the pup downwards. The aircraft gains speed rapidly, 125 kilometers per hour, 140. The wings creak and groan under the strain. Hale maintains the dive until the Germans lose their altitude advantage. Mason appears below and behind him, perfectly aligned with the maneuver. They climb together. A dual ascent, a practice formation drilled into them over countless hours. At 14:26, they regain equal footing. The Germans now press their attack. One dives straight at Hale. The other loops behind Mason. Hale executes a sharp left turn. The pup almost stalls, but its lightweight frame recovers immediately. He positions himself behind the diving Albatros, just a few degrees off its line of flight. He fires. A clean, concentrated line of tracers. The Albatros jolts violently. Pieces of canvas fly off. But the German pilot reacts with lightning speed, rolling out of Hale's line of fire. The 2 machines spiral downward, locked in a deadly, twisting corkscrew. Hale holds on, his eyes burning from the wind, his muscles straining as G-forces pin him against the harness. At 14:28, both planes level out barely 200 meters above the battlefield. Below, infantry soldiers fight on in the ruined trenches. Machine guns rattle incessantly. Some soldiers look up, myriad dots weaving impossible arcs across the sky. The German swings right. Hale matches him move for move. They trade bursts, neither gaining a decisive advantage. A sudden flash. Mason swoops in from above, his bullets raking the Albatros's upper wing. The German tries to climb, but the damage is severe. Smoke trails behind the engine. The plane begins to lose altitude. But this victory comes at a terrible cost. The second Albatros, unnoticed for almost a minute, positions itself directly behind Mason. Hale spots it too late. A burst of gunfire. A horrifying scream of splintering wood. Mason's pup jerks violently, its tail almost completely severed. The aircraft tumbles out of control, entering a flat spin. Hale's breath catches in his throat. "Mason, pull up!" There is no response. The spinning pup vanishes behind a distant ridge. A plume of dust rises into the air. Then nothing. Hale's throat tightens with grief, but he has no time to mourn. The last albatross loops back toward him. Hale steadies himself, forcing down the grief. Rage and clarity combine into a single icy focus. He climbs, slowly, steadily, forcing the German to overshoot. The tactic works perfectly. The albatross flashes past in a high-speed dive. Hale drops him behind him. Now the roles are reversed, the hunter becoming the hunted. The pup trembles at maximum throttle. Hale closes the distance. 200 meters, 150. The German weaves desperately, but cannot shake him. The pup turns too tightly. At 100 meters, Hale unleashes a long, sustained burst. Tracers slam into the engine cowling. A spark ignites, then a licking flame. The albatross begins to burn. The German pilot tries to bail out, but his harness snags. The plane tilts nose down, diving inexorably toward the shattered no-man's land. It hits the ground at 1432. A column of dirt and flame erupts skyward. Hale circles once, breathing hard. Blood still trickles down his cheek. Mason's crash site is nowhere visible from this height. He forces himself not to dwell on it. He turns west, limping back toward the airfield. Smoke trails behind him, marking his damaged flight path. A large section of the right-wing fabric hangs loose, flapping in the wind. The sky feels heavier now, as oppressive as a battlefield with its own gravitational pull. As he flies, he remembers a photograph tucked inside his jacket, a picture Mason gave him just weeks earlier. Mason standing beside his wife, both smiling, holding their newborn daughter. Hale touches the pocket, feeling the outline of the photo. The engines drone on, a melancholic soundtrack to the scene. The battlefield shrinks behind him, fading into the distance. But the war in the sky is only growing more brutal, more unforgiving. Tactics, machines, and heroes rise and fall within weeks. And through it all, the legend of air combat is being forged, one harrowing dogfight at a time. 547, Verdun sector, near Fort Douaumont. Fog at 300 meters. Temperature 2 degrees Celsius. Dawn bleeds slowly over the broken hills. Verdun is a nightmarish maze of shell holes and shattered forests. The air still thick with the acrid smell of smoke from the night's relentless barrage. German artillery has been pounding the area at a rate of nearly 50 shells per minute for hours. French guns respond in kind, firing at roughly 30 shells per minute, shaking the frost from the blackened ground. Above the thick layer of fog, the sky opens into a pale, empty blue, a stark contrast to the devastation below. At 5:47, a new flight of French Nieuport 17s takes off, engines roaring in the frigid morning air. The light sesquiplane design allows for incredibly tight turns and quick climbs, but its lower wing is notoriously fragile at high speeds. Sergeant Luc Morel leads a group, gripping the control stick tightly, his knuckles white. His Lewis 7mm machine gun sits mounted above the wing, holding a 47-round drum magazine. He checks the tension on the firing cable, ensuring it's taut and responsive. Everything feels brittle in the biting cold. This mission feels different, more fraught with danger. Reports from the front line indicate that the Germans have deployed a larger, more aggressive group, possibly Jagdstaffel II, one of the most feared squadrons in the skies. Rumors whisper of a new German ace operating in the region, a deadly predator who stalks the skies above Verdun. Some claim 15 confirmed victories. Others say even more. Morel carries a folded note in his flight coat, his sister's familiar handwriting accompanying weight against his chest. A reminder of home, a life beyond the war. He refuses to read it before missions. It feels like tempting fate, inviting disaster. He climbs through the dense fog layer, the world around him turning a ghostly white. At 1,200 meters the sky clears, and the sun begins to peek through the clouds. 5 Nieuports form a tight V-shape behind him, a cohesive unit ready for battle. Then he sees the enemy. 6 shapes, sharp and menacing. Dark wings, hard angles. Albatros D, 3 fighters. The 2 groups approach each other cautiously, circling warily like wolves sizing up their prey. No one fires yet, the silence stretching, taut and heavy. The air between them feels like stretched wire, ready to snap. The first German turns slightly, an invitation or a challenge. It's impossible to tell. Morel tightens a scarf, shielding his face from the wind, and signals a climb. They gain another 300 meters, positioning themselves with the sun at their backs, a classic tactical advantage. But the Germans react instantly, their movements fluid and coordinated. They break into 2 groups, one climbing, one circling right. It's a textbook coordinated maneuver designed to sow chaos and confusion. Morel understands their intent immediately. The Germans want to split them, isolate them, and pick them off one by one. He orders a dive, hoping to disrupt their plans. The Nieuports drop fast, air screaming along the bracing wires. The Germans dive too, mirroring their movements. Within seconds, the sky erupts into a swirling chaos of motion, 2 aerial forces rushing towards each other at breakneck speed. This is the second layer of chaos, the moment where skill and luck intertwine. Tracers flash, wood splinters, engines roar. Morel rolls right and fires a short burst at a climbing albatros, his aim slightly off. He misses by a meter. The German loops over him, narrowly missing the top of his wing, a terrifyingly close call. A second albatros shoots past, guns hammering, its deadly fire narrowly missing Morel. Bullets rip across one Nieuport's lower wing. The fragile structure buckles and folds under the onslaught. The plane snaps downwards in a sickening spin, spiraling toward the ground. Morel sees it vanish into fog below, a grim reminder of the stakes. No parachutes. Pilots in 1916 don't have parachutes, a stark reality of the early air war. He forces himself to focus again, pushing aside the image of his fallen comrade. 2 Germans trail him closely, relentless in their pursuit. Their twin forward-facing machine guns pour out a combined 800 to 900 rounds per minute, a terrifying stream of lead. One hit on his fuel tank, and the plane becomes a flying torch, an inferno in the sky. Morel dives steeply, seeking escape. The Nieuport shivers and groans under the strain, but it holds. He pulls out just above the fog, narrowly avoiding a crash. The 2 albatros fighters shoot through the mist after him, their eagerness blinding them. But that is where the tide turns, if only for a moment. The fog blinds them, robbing them of their vision. They overshoot, misjudging the distance. Morel yanks his plane up, bursting to the cloud cover into sunlight once more. He finds one of the Germans just ahead, disoriented and vulnerable. He fires. The Lewis gun chatters, its familiar rhythm a welcome sound. Tracers punch through the albatros's tail, damaging its control surfaces. The German jerks left, losing lift. Morel closes the distance, ready to finish him off. Then disaster strikes. A sickening jolt. The gun jams, the mechanism failing at the worst possible moment. He swears under his breath, reaching up with one hand to rotate the drum magazine, hoping to clear the jam. The cold metal bites into his fingers. He tugs at the charging handle, trying to force the mechanism to work. The mechanism sticks, refusing to budge. He tries again, putting all his strength into it. The gun clicks, alive once more. He moves in for another pass, hoping to capitalize on his brief advantage. But the German has regained control and climbed away, escaping his grasp. Morel rises after him, determined to not let him escape. His breath fogs the inside of his goggles, obscuring his vision. Up ahead, another savage dogfight unfolds, a chaotic ballet of death. A French pilot is caught in a tight left turn, struggling against the G-forces that blur his vision and threaten to black him out. A German ace sits patiently behind him, every move timed perfectly, like a predator stalking its prey. The ace fires short, precise bursts, demonstrating his deadly accuracy. The French plane trails smoke, a sign of critical damage. Morel angles upward, knowing he is running out of time. He cannot save everyone, but he can try to save one. He climbs steeply, pushing his aircraft to its limits. The Nieuport shakes violently, the rotary engine coughing as the thin air robs of power. He lines up the German ace, preparing to fire. Distance, 150 meters. Too far. He waits, holding his breath. 100 meters. He fires. A line of tracers streaks towards the Albatros, narrowly missing their target. The German reacts instantly, rolling left to evade the attack. But Morel's burst grazed the tail fin, causing minor damage. The ace loops around, aggressive and seemingly unshaken, undeterred by the near miss. Now the hunter becomes a hunted, the predator turning on its pursuer. Morel pulls up sharply as the German dives on him, unleashing his deadly fire. Hard right roll, narrowly avoiding the onslaught of bullets. He dives again, pushing the Nieuport beyond its safety limits. The fragile lower wing vibrates violently, threatening to snap under pressure. If it breaks, he will disintegrate mid-air, a fiery end in the unforgiving sky. But he holds the dive, trusting in his machine and his skill. Wind screams past him, a deafening roar. The German follows, but too steeply, his eagerness leading him into a mistake. Morel performs a low-altitude zoom climb through a gap in the fog, a daring maneuver. The German dives into the mist and loses visual, his prey vanishing before his eyes. Morel bursts into clear sky. But now he is alone, separated from his comrades. The air around him is unsettlingly quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos of moments before. He steadies his breath and begins a wide turn, scanning the horizon. In the distance, he sees shapes darting between clouds, glimpses of the ongoing battle. He sees two Nieuports limping west, retreating back toward the airfield. One German plane falling in pieces, a fiery wreck plummeting toward the earth. Another trailing smoke, damaged but still flying. Then he spots the ace again, a dark silhouette against the clouds. The Albatros climbs in a slow, deliberate arc, its engine steady, its pilot composed. A predator assessing the field, calmly surveying the scene. Morel tightens his grip on the control stick, his heart pounding in his chest. He knows this duel defines a moment, not just survival, but a test of skill and will, a fight for dominance. They close, drawing closer with each passing second. The ace dives first, firing early, testing Morel's reaction, probing his defenses. Morel jinks right, then climbs, narrowly avoiding the incoming fire. Bullets pass inches under him, a deadly near miss. The ace pulls into a loop, appearing above Morel's right wing, an elegant and deadly maneuver. Morel rolls under him, mirroring his movements. They spiral upward together, engine straining, wings trembling. Every maneuver meets a counter, a testament to their skill. Every burst of fire dodged by instinct and reflexes. Altitude, 2,300 meters. The wind is stronger here, buffeting the aircraft. The Nieuport wobbles slightly, struggling against the turbulent air. The Albatros holds firm, a picture of stability. Then, unexpectedly, the German makes a critical mistake. He climbs too steeply, sacrificing a fraction of speed. Morel dives half a meter, then pulls up into the perfect firing line. Sees an opportunity. He squeezes the trigger, ready to unleash his firepower. Nothing. The gun jams again, failing at the most crucial moment. The moment shatters, the advantage lost. The ace drops behind him, taking the offensive. Morel dives desperately, hoping to escape the imminent attack. The German stays relentlessly on his tail, gun sputtering short, accurate bursts. Holes appear along the Nieuport's right wing, evidence of the damage. A strut loosens, threatening to give way. Morel's mind races, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He remembers a note from his sister, the words of love and hope, folded, unread. He refuses to die without opening it, without seeing her words one last time. He pulls a last desperate move, a flat rudder turn at dangerously low speed, throwing caution to the wind. The Nieuport skids sideways, defying gravity. The ace overshoots by a meter, misjudging maneuver. It is enough, a fraction of a second that could save his life. Morel flips the firing cable, slams the charging handle again, pouring all his remaining strength into the effort. The Lewis gun coughs, then spits fire, roaring back to life. He fires a full drum, unleashing a torrent of lead. Tracers slam into the Albatros's fuselage, tearing through the metal. Smoke erupts from the engine, a sign of critical damage. The German tries to recover, but his right wing collapses, the fragile structure unable to withstand the damage. The plane falls out of the sky, spiraling out of control. Morrell watches it vanish into the fog below, a grim satisfaction washing over him. Silence returns, deafening after the roar of battle. He circles once, trembling, adrenaline leaving his body. Only 2 Nieuports remain flying, battered but still in the air. For Germans are gone or retreating, their attack repelled. The sky is empty now, the battle over. Morrell turned for home, his aircraft damaged but still flyable. His wings are torn, bearing the scars of battle. His engine rattles, threatening to fail at any moment. His hands shake uncontrollably, the adrenaline still coursing through him. He finally opens a note from his sister, his heart pounding in his chest. Luke, when you look up at the sky, remember we are under the same one. Come home. He folds it carefully and presses it to his chest, drawing strength from her words. As he glides back toward the airfield, smoke rising from Verdun below, he realizes the truth. Air combat is transformed from mere reconnaissance to pure, brutal dominance, a fight for control of the skies. The war's future is being written above the trenches now, through tactics, machines, aces, and sacrifice. And long after the mud dries, the legend of these early pilots will shape doctrines, technologies, and the very map of war for decades to come.